These days it's important.
I don't know whether I'll stay the whole day, but let's see. So I have it where I can change the height. So
That's good.
I can use it as.
I think we all have to do this because sitting whole day in the chair, it's not good.
Getting tiring, right?
Yeah, true.
Today I'm planning every 1 hour to go downstairs for a round or two to walk to remain sane.
Good morning and Jai Baba, everyone.
Good
Jai
morning,
Baba,
Jai
good
Baba.
morning.
So is Kama on? Oh, the Windows application is really slow.
Thank God for internet.
I know.
If it wasn't there, I don't know what would happen.
True. So we'll start with your images for 10 minutes and
Sure.
listen to your insights and your
I have no
experience.
insights, right? I just like the visual. It's so pretty.
No, they're very nicely done.
Now, this was more for my understanding, but yeah, I like it. I like it as well.
Yeah. So just give it a couple of minutes. Kama will join, I'm sure. How are you, Tushar?
I am good.
That gives me an idea. Let me refill my tea.
Yep. I need some more tea as well.
We are running 2 offices and 2 universities in our house. You stay in Pune, right? Tusharji, you stay in
Yeah,
Pune?
yeah. I stay in Pune. I stay in the Theosophical Society.
What is it? Is it like, oh, I don't understand. Society as in a building or it's like a
No, no.
society?
Look up for Theosophical Society on Google.
I see.
It was formed even before Baba was born.
Oh my God. So you've been there since?
Over a year.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was founded by two masters from the spiritual inner government and occult hierarchy. Have you heard of Vaivaswata Manu? Vaivaswata Manu.
Manu, I have heard of. Vaivasvata, I don't know.
So Manu is the founder of Theosophical.
Oh, that's a long ago.
Yeah, and no, 1875 it was formed officially. But there is a whole hierarchy.
But how do these two paths intersect, Baba and Theos?
They are same. Absolutely
Same.
same.
Then you should move to
See,
Manu.
I don't have a guru, I'm telling you. I told them. So I don't have a guru. The first person I learned from is Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev, who's very popular right now.
Yes, yes. We follow him as well.
Yeah, I learned from him 15 years back. I've done programs staying with him 15 years back. He gave me a basic understanding. Then I am still listening to Osho.
Yeah, yesterday I was watching his movie on Netflix.
No, that is all nonsense.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I couldn't sit through it.
That Sheila Anand has done it. She is all nonsense. She's making money out of it.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Because she was on the administrative side, not on the spiritual side. She was a rebel actually. She went against Osho.
Yeah. Well,
See, you have to listen to Osho to know Osho. if you like or dislike, you have to listen to him first. Anyway, so
Avtar Meher Baba ki jai. So let's get started.
Yeah.
Sure, Baba.
I'm just opening up the images. Hi, Kama. I saw you join. So we will start with um, Namita. Uh, request all others to go to mute. You tell me when you want the next image on. Okay.
All right. I want the first one, chart one. This is not chart one.
Okay.
It's
So
first plane, second plane.
this one.
Yeah. No, not this.
Not this.
Yeah, this is the one. Yeah. So after reading everything that you've been reading to us, I was struggling very hard to understand the terminology, but this makes it very simple for me. And so far, I have drawn 4 charts, and this is the first chart, and it explains about 7 planes. And I think most probably, at least I am in the first plane, where I understand this world through my 5 senses, and I please myself through music, and that's my understanding of the world. Now, as I go ahead and read more and understand Baba more, then I will perhaps graduate to getting to understand more of energies, and that could take me to the second plane. I feel I may be on the threshold of the first and second plane because my instinct is very sharp and I'm very intuitive, and that's what has taken me to Baba. And the third plane, I think, where you are aware of all these 5 senses, and then you also have better understanding of a higher level of energy, and that takes you to the fourth plane. And these levels of graduation are, what I understand, not really real, but these are imaginative um, classes like primary school, secondary school, tertiary school, so on and so forth. And then there's the fifth and sixth plane where you have arrived a bit better. And at this stage, perhaps a guru, that's my understanding, has the power to elevate your uh, level at which you are. And God, that pure, infinite power, knowledge, bliss, Sat Chit Anand, is God, and also Baba is in that category. God, to begin with, in my understanding, didn't know he was so powerful. For him to understand that he is so powerful, he also needed a medium. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I understand. And when he was in in the human form, he had limitations of the body, but his reach or understanding was that of God. That was infinite. And so essentially, each of us has a godlike quality in us, like various levels of purity are various levels or the planes. And eventually, when you become 100%, 99.9 pure gold, that's when you become godlike and maybe God as well. So that is the whole game of this universe, that you are working towards bettering yourself so that you understand the goodness that is within you. And that's the whole thing about so many lifetimes. There are shortcuts to getting there through meditation and through a guru. And yeah, that's what I understand from this chart. Now we can go to the second chart. The one with
There
the
is a
immediate.
feedback. There is a feedback in your voice.
Sunil, if you put off your computer, yeah, because we are sitting in the same room. Just a moment.
Just keep a distance. You aren't distancing, social distancing.
Yeah, we have maintained 6 feet.
Okay.
What did you want?
Huh?
You want me to project the pictures? What did
You want to do?
No, no. It's okay. Did you ask me something?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Hi.
I think if you use a headphone, it would be better because the feedback is coming because of using as a speaker, I think,
No, I have a
Like
headset on.
I think the feedback is because we are both in the same room. I'll switch off my
Oh,
speaker.
yeah.
So just give me a
Yes.
minute. Oh, yeah.
The feedback is gone for me. It's got
Okay, so this chart is called the original whim, and when you arrive at this state, you understand the God state, and you also come to realize that everything, all these steps, were an illusion. It is not. It's not really there, and beyond God, you have consciousness of self and three infinite aspects. Um, there is no real pattern to it, but you feel oneness between the oversoul and yourself, and you understand that God in Himself is a creator, preserver, and destroyer, and all the consciousness is an illusion. And yeah, so I don't quite understand the original whim. That I don't know what it is, and so I think I don't know if somebody could explain that to me. Karthik, now that you are standing, you can teach us. I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
What was the question?
Yeah, Kama, go ahead.
No, I wanted to know the question again, please.
I don't understand what is the original whim. Yeah.
Okay. I think yesterday probably you could not participate in the conference, but I think in our previous reading,
Mm.
as we go further, there is a chapter called the 10 states of God. Okay.
Mhm.
All the states, different aspects, but it's only dealing with the goddess state. So the most original state of God is basically the state where none of this is happening. All this creation, infinite consciousness, Paramatma, nothing of that exists. There is only the definition called Paratpar Para, which is all the beyond God state, and that is God state one. And you can use the analogy of our sound sleep state. When we sleep for 8 hours, if we don't have any dreams and we go in the sound sleep state, and we all realize that when we get up from sound sleep state, we have this moment of 1 or 2 minutes complete bliss, nothingness. Who am I? Nothing happens. And I think this also happens when you have jet lag and you go to deep sleep, and when you get up, you don't know where you are.
Yes.
So that, look at it as the beyond God sleep, beyond God state. So now what happens is that just like a human being, I think the human being is a great example and analogy to understand the different states of God. So when we wake up after our sleep, so the first thing that happens is you identify yourself, and then you open your eyes and you see duality. So in the sound sleep state, no duality, whereas when you wake up, you see us and them, me and you. So what happens in the God state 2? Baba says that there is no difference between God state 1 and God state 2. The only definition he gives is the most original state of God is state 1, which is this sound sleep state, complete. And when he wakes up, that waking up is the whim. Now, why the whim happens is described thing which we read. The whim is latent in it. Okay. So I'll give you an example. When you have the baby, when the baby wakes up in the morning or whenever, it actually, it gets fed and it's happy. What is its whim? The whim is only to play, basically. The baby starts playing. You can't ask why is the baby playing, So this is the most original whim. And in that whim, in the second state, so there are three substates in the beyond God state, which is God. So Baba says God state 2 are similar, except there are three substates, which you will read about further. I won't try to complicate this, but the best analogy to use is our own existence. The waking state, when you have no dreams and you go into sound sleep, is the most original beyond God state. And when you wake up, what is happening is we are already human beings. We are defined as human beings, but we are all human becomings. Now, to become a doctor, engineer, accountant is a practical thing for our material life. But to become God realized is an oxymoron, is a paradox. Baba said human beings have full and complete consciousness, but we are not awakened to our godliness or divinity because of sanskaras, which is because
Yes.
of evolution.
Yes.
And sanskaras is only unwinding sanskaras up to the human state. And in the reincarnation and involution state, we are spending sanskaras and unwinding sanskaras. That's it.
I see. Yeah, I get it. Very, very nicely explained. Thank you very much. It's very good. Then we have chart number 3. Uh, the title of that is A Real Awakening. रिचर्ड बोजान के नाम से इसको मुझे कुछ नहीं सुनाई दे रहा. ये चार्ट अगर सतागी वालों में शुरू के हिंदी में
Hardik, why don't you put the chart?
Just working on it. For some reason, Windows hung up on me. So reopening.
Okay.
Sorry. What happened now? Okay, I think we'll skip that particular one for whatever reason. Let me try without an archive.
Okay, I'll just read. Everybody
Yeah,
has
please
it
go
in the
ahead.
book. I can read it.
Yes, please go ahead.
This is chart number 3 in the book, and it's called Real Awakening. Um, when the Atma is fully and simultaneously conscious of real and false, and that is a God-man state and a man-God state, and this is the most perfect state, and this is called the realm of perfection. And you tend to live like a god, and perhaps that was Baba's state and its perfection, and you think of yourself as the Godhead. A state lower than that perhaps is Atma's divine awake state. um, where I don't know, I don't quite get this. This is a realm of reality, it says. And then the second state is realm of spiritual phenomena, Atma's divine dream state, like you just now said. Kama said, Atma's semi-real consciousness, soul experiencing subtle and mental planes. Then the next one is Atma's conscious sound sleep state. Atma fully conscious, soul's original unconscious state. Atma's ordinary dream state. Atma's semi-false conscious. I think these kind of stages are also reached as you go up the planes. And while you are experiencing the planes, this is what is happening to you, and this is how perhaps you present yourself or are perceived by people who are around you. And realm and illusion, Atma's ordinary awake state, Atma's fully false consciousness, soul's everyday gross consciousness. So this, it has a quote by Meher Baba, which I like, which is, one who lives for himself is truly dead, and one who dies for God is truly alive. Death is, to my understanding, merging with the infinite, and you lose that demarcation or distinction between I and God. Everything it merges into each other. So I think that's perhaps what Baba is talking about. Then there's chart number 4, which is evolution and involution. Um, I like this chart because, it intersects at one point where, when we talk about various stages of evolution, from stone right up to man, at the same time, an individual's consciousness goes up the various stages. And so these two things are happening simultaneously. But I think more so once you are a man, then when you are a human being, um, your progress accelerates, and you start going up the planes, or going down depending on your sanskaras and karmas. And then there is Atma, and then there is Shiva Atma. That I don't understand, which is on the 7th plane. If somebody understands, I would be very obliged if somebody could explain to me what is the difference between, because there are two circles which were in the diagram, which is Atma and Shivatma. Man, God merged in Paramatma, 7th plane. And par, parat, Paramatma and Paratapa, Param Brahm. That I don't understand also. So those last two stages is something I just drew it. I don't know what it is. Hello.
So, so I can tell you that what I explained in the last, discussion, starting at the top, evolution and involution. So, Paratpar Parabrahma is the God state one.
Mm,
It's the God is state, and this state is basically, when you read further, as I had said, in the 10 states of God, it will be explained that even the perfect masters and avatars can't describe this state. This state can only be experienced when you become self-realized. So only the second state, God state, which is God state 2, which is called beyond God state. This is where when the whim happens, when the whim happens, you have two things happening simultaneously: infinite consciousness and infinite unconsciousness. So the infinite consciousness is considered as the Paramatma, which we call in Vedanta, and Ishwar and soul by the philosophers. So this is where Paramatma is the beyond God state. And there are three substates, which you will come to know later. And then coming to Atma, Atma is all of us are what you call as Jivatmas. Actually, this should be called, there is a semantic mistake here. It should be called Jivatma, which we all are. And Shivatma is basically what we are trying to reach. When we become self-realized and we reach the Madzub state, till there are 4 states there on page number 278. There's a beautiful table which you should refer to. Shivatma is basically when you become perfect, when the sanskaras become zero. So only difference between Atma and Shivatma is Atma should be called as Jivatma, which is unconscious. And when it becomes Shivatma by in the seventh plane, it becomes Shivatma. And these definitions are in the back of the book, actually.
I see. Thank you very much.
There is also a difference of consciousness, Atma and Shivatma.
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel this is your present state of understanding, Namita.
Mm.
As you evolve, you constantly upgrade whatever you have learnt.
I'm looking forward to upgrading to business class
Keep,
this time.
keep constantly upgrading, because this is so with every one of us. I am very sure. At least with me, it has been there. Constantly, even in the last 1 year, I have upgraded my knowledge. So there are a lot of things which I've learned new, even after 30 years. So keep on just evolving and
Thank you.
upgrading. Yeah.
Thank you. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
And taking notes is very good. Making your own notes is a very good thing.
Exactly. I'm very excited about that, because that was my learning technique in school and college, where I used to create mnemonics and charts just for my reference and internalizing. So I'm very excited. I have a parallel. You also use that as a way to internalize, because
Yeah, I discovered it after many, I think 30 years, that this is my style of learning.
no, it was my style of learning. But then as you age, you kind of give for. So I should
Yeah.
get back
But
to
I
this.
don't age, women are not supposed to age. So,
Oh, absolutely.
no, I'm just joking.
Before we started the group, I think Karthik and I, we were talking of making flowcharts.
Mm.
So
Yes.
you have done that first amongst us all.
Thank you. I like doing it. So, yeah, it's making it easier and nicer for me also, because super soul, those things were complicating my head. This is my level understanding, and I'm very grateful. And thank you very much for clearing my doubts and encouraging me. Very grateful.
Not at all. You helped us understand a little more. So that's the way I look at it. Each time there is an explanation, you uncover something else. So group learning is all about just that.
Yeah, really, really very nice.
Yes.
This 2 weeks have been good for us.
Yes, for all of us.
If they
Great.
extend this, then we may become
These
God
charts,
realized.
the
Correct.
charts that you have shown, Amita,
Yes.
it shows that what is crystallized already in your mind and what are the doubts you have.
Yes.
That is the way of learning. So you have to retain what we have learned and then go ahead with the further questions and then get answers.
Yes, I will
So
do
that
that.
shows what is internalized in yourself and what is the doubts you have to be clear. That's a clear progress, I think.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yep. Noted. Yeah. I agree with you.
Great.
You set
Thank
the
you, Baba.
trend. We are
Yeah.
grateful to Namita also. You set the
Yes.
trend.
Thank you.
For the commitment in learning and the effort. So thank you, Baba. Thank you for reminding us about that, and thank you for helping all of us. So with that, I will take up from where we left off. We were in Evolution of Consciousness, 89, and starting from the second paragraph on that page. But more often than not, a man also recollects in his conscious awake state that a particular gross form, whether of a thing, creature, or being, with which he closely associates and which he actually seeks, reminds him of having witnessed that same object in his dream at some time in the past, either some days, months, or years ago. Thus, it actually happens that a form of the future which he happened to witness in his dream of the past reappears to the man as a gross form in his life associations of the present. After a lapse of time, the same object that the man was totally ignorant of ever having seen or contacted before in his lifetime appears to him now in the awake state exactly as he had witnessed it before in his dream state. Experiences of a similar nature are also recorded in which a man witnesses certain incidents in his dreams years in advance of their actual occurrence. How is it possible for a man to witness in advance, in the drama of his dream, such forms and incidents of futurity when this drama of the dream is only the outcome of his past and present everyday life impressions? Is it really possible in the dream of the present for one to come across and witness a certain object which is totally of the future and to establish future associations with it in advance, yet all the while remain ignorant of the object until it is eventually contacted and consciously associated within an awake state one day in the distant future? Even if such a thing be really possible, and if the future is being inadvertently probed by man in his dream, then from where does futurity spring into man's present? How could man, living in the present through his own impressions of the past, ever come to grips with futurity, even in a dream state, and associate in advance with the impressions of future incidents and objects? What is it that endows man with the faculty of prescience? These very associations with future objects and incidents, though experienced inadvertently and unknowingly by man in the present, are automatically developed and are inevitably there by virtue of man's being the creator of the drama in his dream state. No sooner does man become the creator of the drama of his dream state through the projection of his dormant impressions, then this very projection of his own dormant impressions reflects his past as if it were really his present, and man, finding himself involved in this drama, gets absorbed in his past while still maintaining his past to be his present. I'm confused here. I want to read, I understood till here, but I want the last paragraph read again. No sooner does man become the creator of the drama of his dream state through the projection of his dormant impressions than this very projection of his own dormant impressions reflects his past as if it was really his present, and man, finding himself involved in this drama, gets absorbed in his past while still maintaining his past to be his present. You all got it, or you want to discuss?
When you talk of past, is the backlog, right, of
Correct.
sanskar.
So it's basically
And,
the identification of the past and the impressions creating that dream, and you being in the dream state thinking that that is real and thinking that that is the present. Is that right?
See, mind always either lives in the past or in the future, right? By way of imagination. Imagination is an aspect of mind. Memory, imagination, understanding, they are all aspects of mind. So
Correct.
here, you either live in the past, that is the only experience you have, correct?
Correct.
The known is the only thing, the known. The known is only past. You've already known that. All you have to know now further is from the unknown, correct?
Correct.
That is the shadow part, what Baba is talking of. Okay. So here, you are constantly living in the past. That's what brings the here and now thing. Okay.
Correct.
Buddha says that if you are here and now 20 times a day at different times, you are a Buddha. Okay. 20 moments. So we are so driven by the mind. I mean, if you just are making tea, pouring it, let's say, in the cup, the entire thing is done unconsciously, right? There's a command given by the mind that you have to make tea. Entire process of making tea is unconsciously done, right? Have you experienced this?
Yeah, so this is the concept of mindfulness or mindful awareness that Buddhism and that school of thought.
No. I'm just giving you a very simple example that we are usually one-pointed. We are one-pointed. Okay, so when we are one-pointed, we are mostly living by our experience of the past. It can be previous lifetimes also, not merely past of this lifetime.
Correct.
Past of many lifetimes you have lived. Okay, that is what Baba is talking of. So you're pushing the past into the future.
Correct.
Do you get it?
Correct.
Whereas you are supposed to be, ideally, you should be in the present.
Correct.
Do you understand, or have I not articulated well? What about
No, I got it.
Sunil, Nomita?
Yep, thank you.
Yes.
Before this paragraph is what you have told is okay. But before this, he has talked about projection of the future in the dream. That I think that will be explained further.
Further down. That's what I'm hoping. Yeah.
Yes.
That is what is imagination.
No, so
projection of imagining the future based on the past.
Correct.
Yes,
so if you look at it, he ends this paragraph with a question. What is it that endows man with the faculty of prescience? Right. So now he's explaining that. So basically saying impressions of the past be assumed to be present and keep it in the dream state. We'll read on to see if he clarifies that. I'm sure he will. In this manner, although all the time remaining in the present, the man inadvertently and unknowingly continues to preserve his past, maintaining it to be his present. But when the man continues to preserve his past, he, being at the same time the creator, also concurrently becomes the preserver of his own creation through his spontaneous association with the objects in the drama of his dream state. These very associations, though inadvertently established, maintain the continuity of the drama and endow the creator with the role of the preserver as well. In every wee bit act of preservation of all that which has passed, man in his present, as the preserver of his past, inadvertently and unknowingly also simultaneously establishes the future in his very present by the very act of preserving his past as his present, which present had remained always as the future of the past. Take, for example, a man who finds himself living in the present of today and who looks upon yesterday as all of his past and tomorrow as all of his future. Now, as soon as this man asserts that he is living in the present of today, he inadvertently and unknowingly has preserved that past of yesterday not only as the present of today, but as the future of tomorrow, just by maintaining himself as alive today in the present. In every wee bit act of preserving that past of yesterday, while maintaining himself as living in the present of today, that man also inadvertently and unknowingly establishes in his present of today this today as the future of yesterday. So, it is that although the past and the future have their own stand, yet both of these are consistently and concurrently preserved only in the present. It is only because of the present that both the past and future find their point of fusion everlastingly in the present. In the eternity of existence, there is no time, there is no past and no future, only the everlasting present. Therefore, in eternity, nothing has ever happened and nothing will ever happen. Everything is happening in the unending now, if there is anything happening at all, because all that has apparently happened, all that is apparently happening, and all that will ever apparently happen in the illusory cosmic universe is all that which God has already dreamt the moment his own original infinite whim surged as who am I. So, really speaking, nothing has happened and nothing will ever happen. When man, in his dream state, associates with past, present, and even future forms, he simply invents the roles of creating association, then preserving that association, and eventually destroying that association, while all the time maintaining that he is the witness to all these in the present of his dream state. On these very basis of the creation and preservation of all things, creatures, and beings created and preserved, whether in the dream state or in the awake state, there hinges at every step in the present an inevitable destruction as the future of all things created and preserved. I'll just read time. He described time with a footnote, so I will read that and go back. The gross, subtle, and mental spheres exist only in imagination, and so time and space exist only in imagination. Time, therefore, has no absolute value, and in each of the three spheres, it has purely relative values that are quite independent of each other. Thus, time on the gross sphere is independent of time on the subtle and mental sphere. Time on the subtle sphere is independent of time on the gross and mental spheres, and time on the mental sphere is independent of time on the gross and subtle spheres. A dream is nothing more than an experience of gross things by means of the subtle organs, and we have all been told how a long and intricate dream may take place in an impossibly brief moment in that imaginary time, which is measured by the movements of the hands on our wristwatch. This is fascinating. So I think
So
this
this,
explains how we see a dream sometimes of a very long period.
no, no,
And
no, no. Don't mix up this dream with the sleeping dream. Okay.
oh, okay. So this is
Yeah.
the larger illusion.
Yeah. And even all the four states of
Mhm.
us, the deep sleep and all that,
Yeah.
he's talking of the beyond. He's not talking of your illusion world. Okay. He's not talking of the sleep, deep sleep, the dream state of your gross world or your
Hmm.
world below the mental plane.
Hmm.
He's talking of here this.
Tushar, you faded. Is it just me or others are able to hear him?
Yeah, yeah. He faded.
Yeah, he faded. We lost him, I guess. Tushar? Yeah, I think it's disconnected. Any other comments on this time-space construct that?
Yeah, this happens every day at the same time. I get a drop. I don't know
But
why.
time is relative.
Time
So
is
that's
relative, but see, this needs an extensive explanation. I have understood what is time and space, but it needs a very extensive explanation. We don't have time to do that. So
true.
I think right now you just go on reading whether you understand or don't understand. We'll take up subsequently. Many answers will be given by the further reading also.
Great. Any other thoughts before we continue?
Not from me.
Okay. So I'm assuming we go ahead. Anything that has its beginning must have its inevitable end, and all things created must inevitably be destroyed, however much such things be preserved, anticipating futurity, advertently or inadvertently, as destruction. In the very act of preservation, man in the present automatically becomes the preserver of all things that he created in the past. Man becomes the preserver, being in the know of the future that consistently confronts him in the garb of unfailing destruction that awaits his inevitable turn as futurity. Of course, man himself is really not aware that he knows the future, but the very fact that he is the preserver shows that he must be anticipating the destruction. And as destruction belongs to the domain of futurity, the man, though not aware that he knows the future, is knowing it all the time that he is engaged in playing the role of the preserver in the present. In the very act of becoming the creator, preservation of all things created follows, and the creator, perforce, simultaneously has to play the role of the preserver. Concurrently, in the very act of becoming the preserver, destruction of all things preserved is anticipated. Therefore, all things are advertently or inadvertently preserved, and the preserver, therefore, establishes in the present the future of all things created and preserved, anticipating the inevitable destruction. God, in his infinite, divine dream state, eternally plays the three roles of the creator, preserver, and destroyer simultaneously. When God is in process of preserving his own infinite creation, he is already at the same time in the future, and having preserved what he created, which has passed, the future is definitely established before him, even in his eternal present, which future will destroy what he created in the past and what he preserved in the present. I'll read this again. When God is in the process of preserving his own infinite creation, he is already at the same time in the future, and having preserved what he created, which is past, the future is definitely established before him, even in his eternal present, which future will destroy what he created in the past and what he preserved in the present. Therefore, God, being omniscient and eternally of the present, knows of the past, which he eternally preserves as the present, and also at the same time, he constantly experiences in advance, in his eternal present, all that which is of the future.
I want to just
Similarly,
make a comment here.
sure.
I think this whole creation, preservation, dissolution, I think the analogy will be our phenomenal world of duality of forms. In Vipassana, you learn that the universal law of nature is impermanence. I think this is something everybody is aware of, is conscious or is basically unconscious of, but everybody knows the rule that everything is changing in the universe, in the phenomenal world of forms. Even our body is changing every microsecond. So I think this creation, preservation, dissolution can be looked at that the universal law of nature is impermanence. Change is the only permanent thing, and whatever begins has to, dissolve. That's it.
That is analogy to that. That what I agree with what Kama has said. This is in like we all experience impermanence of the material world, right? Our whole goal is to have something permanent. So the only thing permanent is the beyond, and that is touching the God, capital G. Okay, where here by God he means the Atma. When he's talking of God, as we saw yesterday, he switched to the using of word God instead of soul.
Yeah.
So whenever you are in two minds, when you struggle on the path, you will always face this question that spirituality is very tough. But so is living. Living is also equally tough. The only difference between our material life and the beyond is of impermanence and permanence. We are heading to a state which is permanent. Whatever is there is permanent. For instance, in the next body, which is desire body or the astral body, which is not defined by Baba here, but it elsewhere in the Puranas, Vedas, it is defined as desire body is nothing but Kama Sharira. Okay. Kama Sharira, in Kama Sharira, if you transcend the physical world, which is a gross body, there is no tension of having to earn every day. You don't have to earn money, correct? Here, our biggest problem on earth is having to sustain, with most people. You, whether you're rich or poor, you depend on money. Am I right? Am I making sense?
Correct. But I didn't understand the connection between that and the spirituality versus non-spirituality, the contrast you're making.
Contrast is permanence and impermanence. This is a corollary to what Kama said.
Okay.
If you understand this, permanence and impermanence, you are heading on the right path.
I'll add one more thing that what is happening with us is as soon as we are born and go through this brahmacharya, grahasti, vanaprastha, sannyas state, and I have divided this lifespan of 84 years of 21, 21, 21, 21, 42, 63, 84, or you divide 84 divided by 7 is 12. So every 7 years, the body is going through physiological, psychological, psychosomatic changes, and it also has different duties and responsibilities at different multiples of 7, hypothetically speaking. Now, when you look at the whole universe from the Big Bang or the home point for the last 13.8 billion years, this whole universe is running on almost 20 physical constants. Gravitational constant, pi is equal to 3.1415, and so on and so forth. Now, interesting thing is from the beginning of the Big Bang or the home point, this whole universe is very fine tuned. For example, the distance between the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon, they have calculated that even if there was a plus or minus deviation in distance, there won't be any life on Earth. So if you extrapolate this whole universe, the cosmos is very much fine tuned. Everything is perfect. The only thing that is out of tune, can you tell me?
Come again. What's the question?
The question is that everything in the universe is perfectly fine tuned. Like, for example, we are sitting now and discussing this Earth is moving at a particular speed around the universe, but we are actually sitting still and discussing this, and everything around us, the mineral kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, everything is in equilibrium. Okay. So, uh, uh, right now, whether you're in the sleep state or in the waking state, everything is perfectly fine tuned in the universe in terms of our interaction between the subjective human body and the objective creation. But there is one thing which is out in this whole perspective. Can you guess what is out of tune?
That is our own self. We are the ones we are changing constantly.
Correct. Basically what you are saying is the human mind is out of tune in the waking state of 16 hours. So what is happening here is basically when we know that the universal law of nature is impermanence, change is the only permanent thing. But the mind wants to make things permanent. I want to have a permanent job. I want to keep I want my body to be young and beautiful. I want my relationship to be permanent, but nothing is permanent. So the most important lesson I learned from Vipassana is that the fact that the mind wants to make things permanent, consciously or unconsciously, we are going against the most fundamental law of nature, which is the law of nature is impermanence. So you are swimming against the tide, which means you are going to suffer. So when Buddha said suffering is the universal truth, craving, aversion, and ignorance are the three causes of suffering. And the third postulate is said, we are all walking Buddhas. What happened to me has happened to thousands of people before me and after me. So the fact is that because the mind is not, mind always wants to make things permanent. That's why we suffer. So as Tushar said and Baba has said that all human beings are already self-realized, but we are not awakened to our divinity. That's it.
We are self-realized, but the degree is varying. We are not fully self-realized.
We are not self-aware every waking moment. We have
Exactly.
self-knowledge on this literature of whether you talk about the Upanishads, Vedanta, or Baba, or the Bhagavad Gita. But what is lacking in human beings, according to me, is this self-awareness every waking moment. So it's only during the 16 hours of our waking state, which is 67% of the daily life. So 8 hours you go to sleep, then you are fine because there is no I, there is no ego, there is no Atma, Paramatma. It is the beyond God state.
No, that is not true. The 8 hours of your sleep, a lot of other bodies are active. 24 hours the bodies are active. Only the physical body goes to sleep. Even the Atma separates in the sleep state. Now,
But
let's
what
not.
this state you experience? What is forget about the intricacies. When you eat something, you don't care what's happening inside the body.
The only thing is you're not aware. Okay? You're not aware of Atma being separating in your sleep. And you're not aware of where you're going. There are other bodies in your body, within your body, right? There are so many bodies. Our constitution has 7 principles. So the lower 4 bodies are there with us all the time. Atma is sleeping right up to the mind state. Atma is only acting at the will state. That's the whole idea about Baba saying, I have come to awaken you. Awaken
I'm sorry.
you.
It is Atma. It is the consciousness of the Atma. You have to be clear about the words, not Atma. It is the consciousness of the Atma.
Atma is actually sleeping. We are in the other side, the I side. The I as the small ego. Have you read what I have written? I mentioned about individuality
I
and
don't
personality.
agree with
Have you
that.
read that?
Atma is a pure observer witness. It is the consciousness which is actually, because of sanskaras, is falsely identifying with the gross body, subtle body, and mental body, and it's getting caught up in creation and wants to make things permanent. This is the whole challenge of human beings, that we are falsely identifying with the bodies. So if the
Exactly, exactly. This is what I am saying. Exactly, I'm saying that only. Individuality and personality. You're talking of individuality and personality. Why I am
no,
saying I'm sleeping?
I don't
Because we
believe
are
that
not aware.
Atma is not sleeping. Atma is always there, like the white screen in a movie hall. Whether the movie theater is on or not, the
That
movie
is the
screen
knowledge part.
is
That is
always
the
there.
knowledge part. That's not our experience. The whole idea is to get there. The whole idea is to be self-aware of Atma.
There is nothing to get there. I think the only thing that needs to be done is to dissolve the ego mind, the thinking mind ego. Love is
Exactly, exactly. So that is the hindrance. What is the impediment to getting to the real capital E ego? The small ego is where we are identified. That's the reason they say Atma is sleeping. Do you get this point? I
anyway.
think
That is a is
we are
one way
just
of
getting
looking at
into the semantics. We're just
the
getting into
reality.
the differences of semantics.
Is manonash, annihilation of the thinking mind ego. This is my understanding.
Have you read my comment? The group chat. Please read that. I have said just now what you said. I have already typed it.
Okay, I think we agree on the same point in different ways. That's it.
That's what I'm saying. We are just disagreeing on.
No, I think that when we
No,
are
but
reading God,
semantics is the problem, I feel. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I brought up your chat
what I
comment.
like, I again wanted to re-emphasize is that when you read discourses or God speaks, whenever we come to the word soul or atma, we should always look at it as the consciousness of the soul, the human consciousness. That's the main thing.
See, on the very first day or second day, I think you were absent. I had put this point as see, the word soul has been misused by lexicographers. It is actually spirit. See, in Christianity, there is body, soul, and spirit. Okay, soul has all the other attributes, identifications. So it's not pure Atma, but here Atma, Baba has defined right from the first line that soul means Atma. So we take it as Atma. Whereas in our semantics, it is spirit, which is Atma. It's not the soul, which is Atma. Okay, this is all taken from Sanskrit again. In Sanskrit, we have all the definitions of each of the plane. They are different words. Someone has to do research and find out. If you want to go specific. So here we understand soul is Atma.
So whether we want to speak American English or Australian English or British English, I think we'll have to stick to the Baba English. I think his terminologies. Otherwise, we'll get confused.
His terminology has changed. No? Now he's using the word God, capital G. He's not using the word soul. So that's the confusion. Anyway,
No, God and Atma are one. It is a hologram. Atma and Paramatma are one. The only difference is the Atma is the drop soul, like a raindrop, and the
I got
Paramatma
your
is the
point. I
ocean.
got your point. I'm talking of soul. Soul and
So Atma and Paramatma, I don't find any confusion in that. Atma and
no
Paramatma, drop
soul and
soul and
soul and God are different.
no.
Anyway, let's discuss this at some other time.
Yeah, I think we also run
We're
out of
going too
time.
much tangent. We're going too much tangent.
No, but we need to resolve that. If you guys have some
I
time,
think
please
I
use
told you, no, the limitation is of this medium. I mean, if we are one to one, it can get resolved. We meet
yeah,
in
we can
reality.
get to blows and yeah,
I
Yeah.
would recommend
articulate once and for all.
please to read the index and glossary in the back of the God Speaks. The definitions are very clear there. The glossary gives you all the definitions, and page number 270 has a beautiful table if you want to look.
Okay. What terminology I am using is very standard in this world, spiritual world. Standard across everywhere.
That's why we are so confused.
I have a request here.
No. I think I'll tell you what. I'll repeat maybe only one thing that Kama said. For the purposes of this exercise, right? What we are trying to do in this series of calls, let us stick to the same definitions and the same vocabulary that Baba has said and explained in multiple ways, just for sheer understanding and absorption. Otherwise, the more we go into other definitions, though it might have helped you in your understanding, we might confuse and also deviate from the focus. Right? What page was it? The table, Kama?
270.
278.
278. 278.
There is no page number in that. It's just a table.
Yeah, I'm in 275. Just see that and then we'll pause. Oh, okay. This is the comparative table. I remember this. Yeah.
God realization by man. Man becoming God eternally.
Yeah.
So that will, I think, once you go further in the chapters, I think that table will be much relevant. But definitely, I think each of the terminologies that we read in the God Speaks content, please read the glossary because it is, and the index will also help in reference in the God Speaks, different pages, definitions of the same thing, written interpretation.
Sure.
I think we can read it later because it appears very faint right now.
Yeah, it's a scanned image, so I think it's bad image quality. Anyway, we don't have to read it, but it's just a reference I wanted to jump to show everybody. So with that, we'll pause. We are already out of time.
What page is this? What page is this?
It's in the physical book,
278.
278. No, it's actually 277, I think. After 276.
276. Is it on the... This part is different from what we are reading, right?
Yeah, this is the second PDF, the _P2P.pdf.
Okay.
In that, go to 283 if you're using the soft copy.
It's there on this, Teams, right?
Yes.
Now, group it's there. Okay.
Yes, it's there.
Okay, we'll have a look and
Sure.
time.
We'll connect back tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, Sunil, did I interrupt you? You were trying to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to make things simple for particularly Namita and me. If we could, while we are reading all this, make it easy for us on what should we do in our day-to-day lives to augment ourselves on this path. I keep thinking about this constantly. Knowledge is one part, understanding the creation and everything is one part, but what do we do when I'm living like a human being every day, caught up in my work and this and that? How do I apply this to progress myself further? If we could draw some analogies, maybe Baba's prayer or something else to make it more humanly would be nicer. I'm struggling with that.
I think Baba very simply where he said good thoughts, good words, good deeds, and self-awareness. And the way self-awareness can be done, I can tell you my own practice. If you need to think only for practical material purposes for your day-to-day life. But whenever you're free, whenever you don't need to use your mind, and you start focusing on your breath. And one of the things I have talked to the corporates, it's every hour on the hour, you keep an alarm and you stop doing everything if it is possible. And 2 minutes or 5 minutes, you stop doing and close your eyes and just become aware of your breath. and whatever
Right.
thoughts come, just observe it and don't analyze it or anything. Let it come and go, good and bad thoughts. So this is my recommendation.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'll try that. Thank you, Kama.
It's a good recommendation. There is nothing but witnessing your breath actually, and not making choices of anything which is happening during this thing. What we talked of Nirvikalpa Sajakta,
Right.
choiceless awareness. This is the practice, and it's best done with what Kama has suggested, watching your breath, which you start with.
Start
At the
with that,
moment,
yeah.
I will suggest that let us all finish reading of God Speaks. You can start
Sure.
after that.
Will
Sure.
do. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Everybody have a
Thank
good
you.
day. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Thank you.
Yeah, well.